Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing alcoholism, and this is a topic we hardly talk about. You know, many people don't even know how to go about it. And I don't want us to discountenance the spiritual angle, because I know you want to say that I'm doing momijio, but there are some good people that the truth is that they are not depressed, they're not unhappy, they don't have any life issues, but it's just that once they take that cup, from one cup, they begin to have problems. So there's a possibility that there's a spiritual part of this conversation that we're not talking about.
No, Mariah.
Physiologically, maybe they cannot handle a lot of alcohol. Yeah. Everybody is different. We have different thresholds.
One cup will make you drunk?
Yeah. Yes. There are some people that cannot. There are some people that dare not take a cup because it will mean their death. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's how God has created them. So you need to know. But one thing I want to say is that, you know, even starting is that for us while we were growing up, alcohol drinking was glamorized on TV. They used to do all those adverts, and then you see the really classy ladies. So you were waiting for when you'd be old enough to just hold that glass. And, but we know differently now because we now know the health implications. So for a lot of us, when we became adults, it was a choice not to for the health implications. Or for some of us, you tasted it for the first time and thought, what is it that I just like about this bitter thing, you know? And so you were saved, not because you were even morally upright, but maybe you didn't like the taste or something, so you got out of it. The thing is, we need to, for the young ones now, they need to understand that you don't even start it at all. It's a bad habit that people tend to have, you know. When you're saying we should not remove spirituality, you can have a good, you can even have a spiritually, vibrant person who has a bad habit.
Yeah, right.
Tasted alcohol and then has used it a few times to de-stress, and before you know it has become a habit that
some will argue that that's why it's important for you to take alcohol as a young person, so that when you grow older, because I mean, I think it was somebody was like when I was 16, when my sister-in-law at the time was trying to make me understand different drinks and all that. I was almost 18, I think, actually. So she was saying, listen, let me give you at home now, so you know it. Yeah. When you go out, you can tell the difference, and you ask, you know, you are very clear. Nobody can bamboozle you on drinking. So that for me was educating me. Yes. But a lot of young people in our country we don't educate them. They find out outside at parties by themselves. No parents will sit you down and tell you what's there in Hennessy and red wine and white wine.
So that worked for you, fine and good. There's some people that got that same treatment and still went ahead
they got hooked.
And they were, you know, indulging in it. Because, again, we're talking about alcoholism as a disease. So there's bad habits, we know that, but then there's some people that it's a disease, they cannot control themselves. In fact, I hear that they say French children from very early on, they are drinking with their family because, you know, in small quantities, they are taught how to classily and tastefully drink alcohol so that when they grow up, they don't become drunkards. I'm sure there are drunk people in France.
Yes, of
course. There are
course.
drunk French people, even though with that sort of home training, but it has to do, apart from the bad habits, also has to do with your psychological or your mental state. We have people who are hooked on drugs today. For me, it's all part of the same thing. There's some people who cannot do without smoking cigarettes. It's all part of that addiction, that disease of addiction. There's some people, it's not those things that they're addicted to. It's sugar. They cannot get off sugar. No matter how it affects their health, they still cannot get off. Some people have been told they have diabetes.
And they will
if you take another gram of sugar, I'm sorry for you. They're like, I'd rather go. You know, so it's that disease. We hope that we have communities, we have clinics, we have therapists that can help people walk through that. And people need to acknowledge, I have a problem and these are the places I can go.
Talking about communities, because I'd like us to address the issue of the boy code or the men code. Because you have your friend who is a drunk, who is an alcoholic, but instead of you to tell him, help or to tell him, you just did, oh boys, you hang out, just chill, and you just trivialize it. And when he's drunk, you carry him home, you take him home, and you be okay. But you move on, you'd have your own. So we need to see how men can really help each other, because many of them don't talk.
I think we should have male callers who've gone through these experiences. But I also feel strongly that you would hear it better not from your wife. In most cases, it is your friends that will tell you, Bobs, this thing, you don't do too much. And if we don't call it out like that, if your friends don't help you call out your bad habits, you know, there was a time... So I told a friend, I were hanging out with my husband, and I saw a friend, an older friend that was with a woman and was not his wife, and all of us knew it was not his wife, which is why he does not take me to those kind of gatherings anymore. I told him, you're not being a good friend. Like, you know that he has a wife, and you will not call him out and tell him that this thing you're doing is wrong. So Since then, when he has some anger to say, this is not where wives go, I know that it's because there are some of his friends there that will be hanging out with somebody that is not their wife. So, but why can't you let your...
So that's the boy
have that
code
conversation. You need to have that conversation that, every time you start, you don't start again, no, this bottle will go turn to 5, you will not be able to stand again. Let's help each other in love, because we don't have that community. And when we watch movies, the way they help each other, they do this intervention.
Support group,
you will see, intervention, you call all the family members, friends, and say, let's have a conversation. You have a problem, and you need to admit you have a problem. What they do at Alcoholic Anonymous, they make you say it over and over again, acknowledging you have a problem, because it starts from you taking responsibility before you can achieve any sizable change. But let's even talk about the fact that many people are left to deal with the damage the alcoholic does. People are left to cope. The wife is left to cope, embarrassed every time, dragging the husband after a party. The children are left to cope with the fact that, oh, daddy is at home, he started drinking. Let me take my friends to the other room. Because once your friends start drinking, things might go bad. Should I even talk about the weddings I've attended? I was a makeup artist for weddings, and I've gone for weddings where the man, the father of the bride, got drunk on the wedding day and was causing major embarrassment to the entire family, in disgracing the family, the child that is getting married. So these things have huge impact, and we're not addressing it. In
this part of the world, we just cover our problems. Yes. We just don't let the whole world know.
So now it's spiritual. Let's go and pray for the person to do deliverance. It's not a spiritual or deliverance thing, and I understand that there are things that are spiritual, but the one of alcoholism is not somebody that sent you to be drinking as a way to embarrass your family.
There are demons in charge of this.
You got a demon that takes over your system.
Everything has a demon.
Yes. But one thing is that we know that Jesus is all powerful. So if it's a demon, you should go away immediately.
Immediately you pray.
But you were saying something about friends enabling.
Yeah.
But there are some people. One thing I've noticed with these addictions and addicts is even when their close friends stop supporting or enabling them, even when they decide, you know what, I've spoken to this person a long time, I'm going to take myself away from him, maybe they find their kind.
Yes.
So you go and find a group of alcoholics,
like
a group of addicts like you, and then at become the same bad people. So the spiritual part will be, no matter what it is, whatever physical or mental therapy you're getting, that somebody is also praying for you on the side. So that's the only part of the spiritual that I would say.
Absolutely.
We know that prayer works for everything. There's a part also for a person that's married that we should talk about, which is the intimacy. So the reason I'm bringing this intimacy part up is a lot of people started this habit because they thought it was cool. They thought they looked nice, they were able to drink so much alcohol. We know that young men do that. They brag amongst themselves how much alcohol they can.
Down 2 bottles.
But they forget, but after they finish bragging with you, they go home and they cannot be intimate with their spouses. And it's a big problem. So you need to know that there are consequences for that kind of lifestyle. So even if you're able to drink and get up the next day and still go to work and still earn a living, how about your relationship with your partner? Is that suffering because of it? Anything that harms you, harms those around you, that causes unhappiness, that takes away from your joy, that takes away from your partner's joy, that takes away from the well-being of your family, there's no need to indulge in it. It's not cool. It may look cool outside because people outside don't really care about you, but where it matters, how does it affect those that matter? So that I hope that people are thinking that way.
I'd really like to take a few calls, but I'm telling you, calls are not coming in yet, but I'll really
There's a very dramatic story I saw under the Dr. Shola's post. Somebody said, this is the cure, that many women will not be able to do it, but he's recommending it that somebody stop drinking when it happened, that when the husband comes home, partner with a morgue, a mortuary, carry the man in that drunken state into the mortuary and leave him in the morgue. He will get cold and he will startle awake among dead people. Then he will be like, I'm not dead. What is he doing in the mortuary? That you tell the mortuary attendant to say, you are dead, you are dead. You will soon join them. Let me just let you stay here. Since you're always drunk, you will soon join them. And that let him suffer that trauma for a while, that they've had it happen with someone and the person never went back to alcohol again because he woke up amongst dead people in a mortuary, in a morgue. Now, it's a very drastic action, but it is not more drastic than somebody saying, oh, your husband is going to drink outside. Why don't you buy the beer for him and put it inside the fridge so that he will be drinking it at home instead of drinking it outside? people were advised to do that now, that if your husband is always going to drink outside, put the drink for him inside the house. That's also, for me, a drastic measure. But you might sometimes need to shock people into getting the result you want, because if you don't take ownership, some people die from these things.
Yeah, or kill people.
Like, they kill others.
Let me take this call from Kelechi. Good morning, Kelechi. Thanks for calling.
All right.
You're live. Go ahead.
Before I do it, I want to suggest something to you, but before I do, I want to tell you that this number you put on your screen is switched off. Maybe that's why the phone is not coming.
Okay.
You should leave it for a longer time.
Okay, that's one. Number two, I want to suggest a hot topic to you. That's the issue of spirituality. Because this concept, spirituality, has turned African into Christians, especially in Nigeria. And our priests are making it.
Kelechi, it's so hard to hear you. Which concept? Spirituality?
Yes, spirituality. I said our priests are making us dry with this issue with this concept. Before Christianity was introduced into Africa, we have been dealing with the issue of spirituality. So I would like to hear the thoughts of your ladies, because you have very good language. So I want to hear them.
All right, thank you. It's really hard to hear you, Kelechi, but I think I get it. We should discuss the concept of spirituality. Maybe that is introduced into Africa, and I guess I can understand where it's coming from, because we've kind of
So for me, that's an option, and people can. If you have the liver to try it out, you might try it out. It might be able to be a shock therapy that would lead to change in your partner. But I just feel for.
So we don't have enough data in this our country to be able to know. You know how abroad they always give you numbers and figures. You have to know who and who, how many percentage of Nigerians. Let's talk about women for a moment. That are alcoholics. That are women. We don't have these numbers.
One of the most lucrative business in Nigeria is the beer parlor.
Yes.
Every corner, every house, there's a bar, there's a beer parlor. Everywhere you turn. I went to Benin one time and I was like, what's going on? Like, is it that everybody is drinking? Everybody, almost every 2 houses you see canopy and joints.
But you see, I was going to say, you find that, but I can't prove it because I don't even have the data. But it seems that those who are exposed to alcohol early in life
might not be.
Are probably the ones that don't become alcoholics because they don't see it as a big deal. Those who have been shielded, because some alcoholics we know, all their life they've been shielded, they have never tasted alcohol, they have never been allowed to go to parties, they've never done anything, and suddenly they get into university and wow, hallelujah, I have freedom. And then they're then showing you this, and suddenly you feel it's a life and you don't have control. But if you learn control from home, usually those whose parents drink or maybe they smoke, somehow most of them don't end up being smokers or drunks because it's not a big deal to them. But those of us, I'm just, as I said, we don't have the data.
You're right.
But sometimes it's like we make it look so, we demonize it so much that when these kids get out, they start to crave it.
So for me, I would not say you're right. We don't have data, and so far I cannot disagree or agree with you on who does what. But maybe what we're seeing is that for those who already see it in their homes, because they're also watching adults do it, and hopefully responsible adults, they're able to see for themselves how you can take it and still be disciplined in taking it, what to take, when to take it, how much of it to take, and the times that when an adult has taken it and they have misbehaved, and the shame or the embarrassment it has caused. So for those people, they have seen what it can do. Then there are those that you're right, where it's been demonized, it's such a secret, just talking about it, you may get you in trouble. So you decide, okay, I'm going to go and experiment. But in your experimentation, you're doing it with people who have no idea about, or who don't care about your well-being, about self-control, about how much of it you should take, or the times that you should take it. So it's not necessarily because someone has hidden it from you, is that you've not learned the principles of life in addressing that particular issue. There are many things that we do that are just for fun, they are hobbies. If we do them just a little bit, we can get away with it. But if we've never been taught how, even with eating food, do you know there are some people that cannot, they have to eat a whole bowl of food.
And some eat until they vomit.
I met someone, she says that the reason why at the time she was a fitness trainer, and she said that this was something she had to work on. And she realized that as a child, she was fed large quantities of food. And she always thought it was okay, that it was as an adult. When she started seeing other people eat just a little portion, the portion that was enough for them, she thought that you are meant to eat until you are falling off the chair. But she now learned that, you know, self-control in everything.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's the lesson that we maybe have
We'll be
not
bringing
learned.
in Mr. Theo Akatugba always to shed more light on this because he's a man and hopefully he can shed some light. But once he gets in, I'll let you know.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about what you said, which is getting that self-control generally thing. In recent time, Bisi was talking about how she stayed away from food for a number of hours and just because she just wants to try it out. And I was just laughing because that has been my model for a long time. If I feel like I'm wearing wristwatch and the day I don't wear, everybody's like, what's going on? Why are you not wearing wristwatch? And I feel like I'm having withdrawal symptoms from not doing something, I give myself a break because I just don't want to be addicted to anything. And it is, that's your style too. It's something that we must teach ourselves that nothing is going to be, I'm not going to be hooked to this thing that I'm now going to be like a slave to something. I don't want to be a slave to anything. I'm a human being, I'm meant to control. That must be something we must inculcate in our children. The ability to say no, that I'm not going to do this thing, delayed gratification. There are small, small things, but when you put it as strong values and character traits in children, the benefits are numerous that we don't know. It will help them in able to handle drugs. I was shielded extremely from drugs or alcohol in every form. And when I was able to grow up enough to drink it, I drank, but I always knew like I understood that there was a room for stop.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say because I'm drinking it and because it's everywhere. I'm not drinking again. Yeah. I will not.
Even like, okay.
Let me take a call from Temilola. Good morning, Temilola. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Mariah.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies.
Go ahead, you're live.
All right. Good morning. And I want to congratulate you for your 10th year anniversary.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I want to say a big word on you guys. You are the only, your is the only program that I watch on a daily basis, and I don't want to use it at all. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you.
Concerning this topic, I want to agree with Mariah that it can be demonic, in the sense that if an habit is not being worked on as a person, the devil can capitalize on that habit and use it against you to the point that you will not be able to control yourself again. It might be demonic, but it didn't start like that. It was an habit that was built as a person, but you didn't work on it, then the devil comes and, take advantage of it and use it against you. So, what I want to say concerning this, there's an habit that something is becoming an habit. There's a need for you to work on it so that the devil will not use it against you. So that's what I have to say.
Right. I mean,
I was going to respond about, with drugs too. Many of us did not see the drugs. No, where we give you a little of the drugs, but we saw the consequences. For me, I'm deathly afraid of drug addiction. And when I see drug addicts, I feel so heartbroken. Because I think what my mom did is that as a child, there was no play, no seminar, no gathering where they were talking, or movies where they were talking about drug use and how it affected people that she didn't make us watch. And I had that fear instilled in me. It was like, if you touch drug, you end up either you lose your mind or you just end up being nearly dead, And that is it also with alcohol. Are we teaching people what the problems could be? The example you give where they will say to some wives, oh, buy alcohol and put at home. So you're dealing with just the embarrassment. You don't want him to get drunk and embarrass you outside. But are you also thinking about the health of the person? Because it's not about just hiding him away. It's also that when you do take it, you may lose your life. You may lose your livelihood. You may not be able to take care of your family or be there with your family as they're, or we all end up in hospital trying to take care of you. Every day we're in the hospital, one liver, begging people for liver donation or organ donation. Those sort of things are important.
Okay, let me, I'm going to go on a break because I'm told we have Mr. Theo, but there's a comment I want to take from, I think it's Timei, was saying that some of the roots of alcoholism derive from deeper spousal crises that neither husband nor wife is ready to confront. A man told me he was attending a restaurant on a certain Friday evening and the men were coughing and singing and not in a hurry to go home. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
They're running away from their homes.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.